The morning after my miscarriage, my sister-in-law burst into the room and snapped, "You're not even good at being a woman." My husband didn't defend me. Instead, he said, "She's just emotional. Don't mind her." I packed my things while they ate breakfast. I was gone before lunch. But 2 years later, when they showed up at my door desperate for help, I just looked at them and said, I was 33 when it happened. The miscarriage. It was my first pregnancy. We hadn't been trying long, but I had already let myself hope. The way the world just changed the second I saw the positive test was something I wasn't prepared for. I was terrified, excited, a little lost. But I was ready. I really thought I was ready. We found out at 9 weeks. I started spotting a little at first, and I told Michael, my husband. He said not to panic, that it's normal. But I could tell something was wrong. There was this cold, tight feeling in my body like something was slipping away. I went to the ER by myself that first time. He said he had a work meeting he couldn't miss. When the bleeding got heavier, we went back together. It was around midnight. They confirmed what I already knew. No cardiac activity. That's what the paper said. I read it over and over while sitting in the car in the hospital parking lot. I had no idea how to tell my body to stop crying. When we got home, I collapsed into bed. I didn't want to talk. I didn't want to be held. I just wanted to be alone with the silence. And then came the next morning. Danielle, Michael's sister, was living with us at the time. She had just broken up with some guy named Derek, and Michael practically begged me to let her crash for a few weeks. It had been 2 months. She was still in our guest room, still drinking cheap wine on our couch, still starting fights over nothing. I didn't want her there. She made everything feel tense. But I let it go because that's what Michael always wanted, me to just let it go. I was still in bed, hadn't eaten, hadn't even brushed my teeth. My stomach cramped so bad it made me double over just lying still. Then I heard the door slam open. Danielle barged in, no knock, no warning. Her voice was sharp. "You just gonna sulk all day?" I looked up, stunned. I hadn't even spoken that morning. She stood there with her arms folded, like I was the burden. "You're not even good at being a woman," she snapped. That's when I saw Michael. He was right behind her in the hallway. I thought he'd jump in, tell her to get out, defend me, something. But he just looked at me and said, "She's just emotional. Don't mind her." Then he turned and walked away. That moment broke something in me. Not just the grief from the miscarriage. It was deeper. Like I realized the man I married didn't have my back. That I could lose our child, and he would still care more about keeping the peace with his sister than protecting me from her cruelty. I didn't scream. I didn't throw anything. I got up, took a long shower, packed my things slowly. Danielle was watching TV when I walked through the living room with my suitcase. She didn't say a word. Michael was at the table, eating a bowl of cereal. He looked at me and said, "Where are you going?" I said, "Away." He didn't stop me. He just nodded like I had told him I was going to the store. I left and drove straight to my sister's in Portland. She opened the door, and I collapsed into her arms. I cried so hard I couldn't talk for hours. She put me in her guest room and let me sleep for almost a full day. Over the next few months, I started to rebuild. I got a job at a local nonprofit that worked with domestic abuse survivors. It gave me something to focus on, something outside my pain. I went to therapy. I grieved. Michael never called, never texted. I think that silence hurt more than anything. 2 years passed. I got a little place in Beaverton, small but peaceful. I adopted a rescue dog. I stopped waiting for closure. I made peace with the idea that I'd never get an apology or an explanation. I didn't need one anymore. And then one Saturday afternoon, there was a knock at my door. I looked through the peephole and froze. Danielle. And behind her, Michael. They looked exhausted. Danielle had bags under her eyes and looked like she hadn't slept. Michael looked thinner, older. I opened the door. Danielle said, "We need to talk." And I just stared at them. Because in that moment, I knew they didn't come to apologize. They came because they needed something. Danielle looked like she'd aged 10 years. Her hair was tied back in a messy bun, no makeup, and she had this desperate, twitchy energy. Michael didn't look me in the eye. I didn't invite them in. I didn't even move. Danielle started talking fast. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't serious.
I swear. But we're in a really bad spot.
Michael said you'd. Stop, I said. My voice was calm, but flat. Why are you here? Michael finally looked at me. We lost the house, he said. Danielle got into some legal trouble. I co-signed something for her a while back. I didn't know how bad it was until Danielle cut him off. It's not just that, okay? It's my ex, Derek. He took out credit cards in my name. I didn't even know until they sued me. And Michael, he tried to help, but now the IRS is after both of us, and we don't have anywhere else to go. I just stood there trying to process it. These two people who turned their backs on me, now they were standing on my doorstep, needing shelter. Michael said, we just need a place to stay. Just for a few weeks. Please. I looked around at my tiny entryway. My quiet life. My peace. I remembered Danielle sneering at me while I bled. I remembered Michael choosing silence over support. I remembered how easy it was for them to carry on with breakfast while I packed up the remains of a life I'd built with them. You need a place? I said. Try the shelter on 4th. That's where women go when they have nowhere else. Danielle's mouth dropped open. Are you serious right now? I looked at her, dead in the eye. Dead serious. Michael stepped forward, voice low. Look, I know we didn't handle things right back then.
I should have said something.
I should have stopped her, but that was a long time ago. No, I said. It wasn't. It's exactly 2 years ago this week. I remember because I lit a candle for my baby on Monday. The one I lost while you both laughed in the kitchen. Danielle scoffed. You're still holding on to that? My stomach turned. She hadn't changed at all. I turned to Michael. And you're still letting her talk like that. He looked away again. I'm not your wife anymore, I said. I don't owe you a damn thing. Especially not a roof. Danielle muttered something under her breath. I caught the word bitch. I smiled. You know what's funny? You walked into my home asking for help, and you still can't shut your mouth. That's who you've always been. And Michael? You never had a spine. Michael's eyes finally filled with something close to shame. But it was too late. I closed the door. Didn't slam it. Just closed it softly. I stood behind it, hand on the knob, heart racing. They knocked again. Then silence. Then footsteps walking away. I didn't watch them leave. I didn't care where they went. That night, I sat with my dog in my lap and a glass of wine in my hand. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel empty. 2 days later, I got a call at work. Unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. When I checked it, I froze. Hey, this is Officer McCabe with the Beaverton PD. We're following up on a complaint made by Danielle Morris regarding an alleged threat. Please give us a call back at your earliest convenience. I couldn't breathe for a second. A threat? I hadn't threatened anyone. I called back immediately, told them everything about how she and Michael showed up, uninvited, asking for help. That I turned them away. That was it. The officer sounded half apologetic, half annoyed. We figured there wasn't much to it. But she claimed you slammed the door in her face and said if she came back, she'd regret it. I laughed, bitterly. So now she's playing victim?
He paused.
We've had other complaints filed under her name. You're not the first.
That stuck with me.
I hung up, rattled. I thought I'd finally put them behind me. But Danielle wasn't just chaotic. She was dangerous. She knew how to spin a story, how to drag people down with her. Then came the letter. Certified mail. It was from an attorney in Hillsborough. Danielle and Michael were suing me for verbal harassment and defamation. The claim was weak. Paper thin, really, but enough to shake me. They claimed I'd spread lies about them around town, ruined their ability to find housing, even got Danielle blacklisted from jobs. None of it was true. But it didn't matter. Now I had to defend myself. I hired a lawyer. Cost me thousands just to respond. My stomach was in knots every night. I started locking my doors even during the day. I saw Danielle's car parked down the block more than once. Michael never reached out again. I don't know if he was embarrassed or just that far gone. In the middle of all this, I got a message on Facebook. It was from Derek, Danielle's ex, the one who supposedly stole her identity. He wrote, "Hey, I saw your name pop up in legal stuff. Just FYI, Danielle's lying about the credit cards. I never did that. She opened them herself and tried to dump them on me. I've got the statements to prove it. You want them?" I called my lawyer that night. We filed a counterclaim within the week. We filed a counterclaim for malicious prosecution and emotional distress. With Derek's statements, screenshots, and bank documents, we had enough to show the court that Danielle fabricated her entire case. My lawyer laid it out in cold, brutal detail. She'd opened 5 credit cards in her own name and spent over $20,000 in 6 months. Clothes, electronics, liquor stores, casinos. She defaulted, then tried to shift the blame onto Derek when collections started calling. As for Michael, he had co-signed a car loan for her last year. She stopped making payments. The car got repossessed. He was liable. That's what started their spiral. That's what brought them to my door. At the hearing, Danielle looked like a ghost, hollow eyes, jittery hands. She still wore that smug look when she walked in, but it faded fast when my lawyer presented everything. The credit card receipts, the text messages between her and Derek, the signed letters from the collectors, the copy of the Facebook message Derek had sent me. The judge didn't even let it drag on.
She dismissed their case fast.
Then looked at Danielle and said, "You're lucky we're not talking criminal fraud." Our countersuit moved forward. They tried to settle. I refused. The court awarded me $18,500 in damages. Not life-changing, but enough to cover my legal fees and leave them gasping. They didn't have the money. I knew that. They'd already lost the house. Now they owed me too. Garnishment was approved within weeks. I had a friend who worked at a temp agency. She told me Danielle came in looking for work and was denied because of pending wage garnishment. I didn't smile, but I slept a little better. Michael finally emailed me once. Just one line. "I never meant for it to go this far." I didn't reply, because he did mean for it to go this far. He meant to let his sister abuse me in my own home. He meant to stay silent while I lost our child and our marriage in the same breath. He meant to show up at my door, years later, expecting the same woman he left behind to rescue them. But that woman died the day he let me walk out with a suitcase and a broken heart while he ate cereal and called cruelty emotion. I built a new life from that silence. And when they tried to drag me back into their storm, I handed them the truth. With court documents, witness statements, and garnishments attached. Danielle lost everything. Michael lost his last shred of dignity. And me? I gained something I never had in that marriage.
Power.